Look there, by the river bend. Something's moving in the trees.
They say the world was once one until greed tore it apart. Long before kings raised their banners and soldiers stained their swords with pride, a star fell from the heavens. From its blazing heart was born the eternal gem, a crystal of unimaginable power. It could bend rivers, summon storms, and awaken the will of men. For centuries, the gem was hidden beneath the roaring eternal falls, its light buried in darkness. Time passed, kingdoms rose and fell, and the legend became nothing more than a whisper. But whispers travel faster than truth. Across the divided lands of Eldoria and Weimar, rulers listened. They saw in the gem not balance but dominance. To hold it meant to rule all. To lose it meant ruin. And so, the two nations sharpened their swords once more. As the wind howled through mountains and banners snapped in the storm, destiny stirred beneath the mist of the eternal falls, waiting for those bold enough or foolish enough to seek its heart. In the golden halls of Eldoria, King Alaric studied a map lit by candlelight. His voice was steady, yet his eyes burned with hunger. We strike first. Before Weimar moves, we claim what is ours. Around him, generals nodded, their silence sealing a fate written in blood. Across the border, King Thorn of Weimar clenched his fist around a goblet of iron. If Eldoria reaches the falls first, he spat, our kingdom dies. His war council murmured, the firelight casting long, dark shapes that danced like ghosts. Soon, drums rolled across both nations. Villages near the border emptied as soldiers marched and fields turned to ash. The night skies glowed red with burning homes. Old alliances fractured. Lovers were torn apart. Fathers sent sons to die for crowns that would never mourn them. And as chaos devoured peace, the gods remained silent, watching men repeat the same sins written in the dust of history. When words failed and armies fell, both kings turned to champions. Eldoria chose Marcus Vale, a soldier forged in grief. He carried the weight of loss behind his quiet eyes, for war had already taken his wife and son. Still, when called upon, he bowed to the crown that had broken him. For Eldoria, he whispered, gripping his sword. Weimar's answer was Lyra Dvoss, a tactician renowned for her brilliance and feared for her resolve. Born in poverty, she had clawed her way through the ranks by intellect alone. Her mind was a weapon sharper than any blade, and her loyalty, though unwavering, came from compassion, not power. Both were given a single order: find the eternal gem. Neither knew that their mission was the same. Neither knew that destiny had already entwined their fates not as enemies, but as two halves of the same truth. Marcus journeyed through forests wrapped in fog, his armor heavy, his heart heavier. He crossed rivers where ghosts whispered beneath the surface, reminding him of all he'd lost. At night, he slept beneath stars that looked like cold eyes. Lyra's path was no easier. She led a small band through endless marshlands where every step sank deeper into despair. When her men faltered, she gave them hope. When they fell, she buried them herself. Days became weeks. Snow fell. Blood froze. Hunger gnawed at resolve. Yet, both found moments of grace amidst the struggle. Marcus freed a hawk trapped in a hunter's snare, watching it rise into the clouds. Lyra shared her last loaf of bread with a starving child who would never know her name. They were soldiers of rival banners, yet both served something far greater than kings, something the world had forgotten, honor. And so they pressed on, unaware that their paths were drawing closer with every breath. The wind howled atop Blackstone Ridge as storm clouds gathered. Lightning split the sky, and two shadows faced one another across the rocks. Marcus, Lyra. Neither spoke. Their eyes met, and steel sang the first word of battle. Their blades clashed in a storm of fury sparks, lighting the darkness like falling stars. They fought with the desperation of people defending the last pieces of their souls. Every strike carried rage, every parry regret. "Eldorian scum!" she shouted. "Vaemarian witch!" he snarled. But fate had other plans. The mountain trembled, the earth split, and in an instant the ridge collapsed beneath them. When the dust settled, they lay on opposite sides of a ravine, bruised, bloodied, but alive. Neither could reach the other. Neither could forget the other's eyes. Above, thunder roared as if the heavens themselves disapproved. The night of truth. Rain poured as Marcus stumbled into the ruins of an ancient temple. He built a fire and tore cloth from his cloak to wrap his wounds. Moments later, footsteps echoed through the hall. Lyra appeared, sword drawn, soaked from the storm. Both froze the last people either wanted to see, but exhaustion spoke louder than pride. They sat apart, the fire crackling between them like a fragile truce. After a long silence, Marcus asked softly, "Do you even know why we fight?" Lyra stared into the flames. "Because if I don't, my people starve." He nodded. For the first time, they saw each other not as enemies, but as survivors. Outside, thunder rolled across the mountains. Inside, something far greater began understanding. At dawn, the storm cleared, revealing the eternal falls, a thunderous wall of silver mist. Behind it, hidden by centuries of myth, was the entrance to an underground temple. Marcus and Lyra entered together, torches flickering against walls etched with runes. The air was thick with power. They faced 3 trials. First, the trial of fear, where illusions of death tested their courage. Second, the trial of desire, showing them everything they ever wanted. Marcus saw his wife and son alive. Lyra saw herself crowned in peace. But both shattered the visions. They chose truth over temptation. When the third trial ended, the final gate opened, revealing the heart of the temple, where the eternal gem pulsed like a living heart. Unknown to them, their kings had betrayed them. Scouts had tracked their journey. Soldiers marched toward the falls, their armor glinting like a tide of death. As Marcus and Lyra neared the gem, arrows rained through the cracks of the cavern. Chaos erupted. "Run!" Lyra shouted. Marcus turned and saw a Vaemarian crossbow aimed at her. Without thinking, he leaped in front of her. The arrow struck his shoulder. Blood poured. "Why would you do that?" she screamed. Marcus smiled faintly, because not all Eldorians are monsters. In that instant, war lost its meaning. They were no longer enemies, just 2 souls trapped in a war neither wanted. Before them floated the eternal gem, pure, radiant, alive. Its glow painted their faces in silver light. It whispered into their minds, "Take me, rule them all, bring peace through power." Visions flashed crowns, thrones, kneeling kings, a world united beneath their rule. Then the whispers twisted. Rule alone. Trust no one. Power demands sacrifice. They looked at each other. Fear, clarity, resolve. If either took it, the world would never know peace. Lyra raised her sword. Marcus lifted his beside hers. Together they struck. Light exploded, blinding and divine. The mountain screamed. The gem shattered into dust. And just like that, the war outside stopped. When the light faded, the cavern stood silent. The eternal gem was gone. Outside, the sky turned gold. The raging armies paused as the thunder softened to silence. Men lowered their weapons. For the first time in generations, the air carried no hate. Marcus and Lyra emerged from the mist broken, but alive. They returned to their kings. "The gem is gone," Marcus said. "But so is your war," Lyra added. The kings raged, but the people weary of pain began to hope again. And when hope takes root, even crowns tremble. Years passed. The eternal falls became sacred ground. Where swords once clashed, children now played by the river. Marcus and Lyra met one final time, older, quieter, forever changed. They stood by the border that once divided them and planted a white flower between two stones. A monument rose in time, two warriors standing side by side, swords lowered, eyes toward the dawn. The plaque read, "To those who chose peace when the world demanded war." And beneath the mist, deep in the water's heart, a faint blue glow still shimmered, a reminder that true strength lies not in the power to conquer, but in the courage to forgive.